International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening, I'm Maggie Forciero. In the news tonight, police to investigate possession of service firearm by off-duty officer. Health Professional Council will not compromise on evaluation of medical graduates. Windhoek, Swakopmund and Walvis Bay municipalities signed partnership agreement. NAM Water desalinate groundwater in Batani. And Roundup Business on One, Comments Corner, Sport and the Weather. The Commerce Regional Police Commander Commissioner Ishmael Basson said they will investigate internally how an off-duty police sergeant who killed a fellow police officer was in possession of a service firearm. According to the police regulation, a off-duty officer should book back a service pistol unless authorized by the Namibian Police Inspector General.
According to the police weekly crime report, a 28-year-old police officer Constable Gilbert Kawaseb allegedly shot a fellow officer in the head with a service firearm at a bar in single quarters on Friday evening. The deceased is identified as 28-year-old Sergeant Nestor Usebia. Usebia and Kawaseb are both from the Vanaida police station and completed a course at the police college where after the two went out drinking. Kawaseb made his first court appearance on charges of murder in the Katutura Magistrate Court today and was denied bail. The matter is postponed to 28 September for further police investigation. When asked why an off-duty police officer was in possession of a service firearm, the Commerce Regional Commander Commissioner Ishmael Basson had this to say.
Every member that is reporting for duty, he or she reporting for duty, book out the firearm, how much ammunition was in the firearm, and as soon as you report off duty, that firearm is supposed to be booked back. So there is some degree of negligence. The question that we need to answer now is who was negligent? Starting from myself as the regional commander down to the member that was having that firearm. Somewhere there's some degree of negligence, and that is the part with that eventually internally that needs to be investigated. And if there's any negligence found from any one of us, I'm talking about us, that is myself included, down to the constable on the ground that eventually shot that member. If anybody is found to have been negligent in terms of supervision and control, that person will definitely be charged.
The regional commander further raised concern about how firearms are handled, particularly when alcohol is involved.
It's really a concern, and that concern goes to everybody that is in possession of a firearm, legally or illegally, officially or in private. Generally, there's a concern of the handling of firearms, and I want to emphasize on particularly when there is alcohol involved, because we tend to be, the slightest provocation we are using, we want to pull our guns, and that must be avoided. People should be advised to say that if you go out there wanting to socialize, want to go and have a beer or two, rather leave it at home. Put it in the safe, make sure it's far away from you. Because one tend to be too strong. You don't want to be touched. You are, mind you are in a public space, somebody is stepping on your toes, that becomes a problem. Because why? You are armed. So members are advised to make sure that firearms are kept in the safe. If you go out for drinking, if you go out for whatever socializing, let it be safe so that we don't use that and cause the death of others.
In addition, Commissioner Basson said the police is also establishing what caused the argument that led to the fatal shooting.
The toilet is outside and behind, like not behind but next to the bar, so one have to come out, and by the look of things, it was only the two of them, one inside the toilet and the one outside the toilet, and the one that was outside the toilet is the one that was eventually shot dead. That shot went through the door. In other words, the suspect was inside the toilet, shot from inside the person that was outside. What triggered that shooting? those are matters of investigation.
Commissioner Basson added that the shooting incident is regrettable as they lost 2 members, which affect the police manpower.
President of the Medical and Dental Council of Namibia, Dr. Landuleni Benjamin, said the council is not compromising on its standards by introducing an alternative way of evaluating medical graduates. Benjamin added that the purpose of evaluating medical graduates is to link them to clinical practice. His remarks come after allegations of allowing foreign-trained medical graduates who did not pass the board examination to qualify as medical interns.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
The Health Professionals Council of Namibia developed a practical training program for Namibians who acquired medical qualifications outside the country. This is as a result of many interns who passed the written evaluation of the council and struggled to complete internship on time due to limited clinical exposure during medical education and training outside Namibia.
If we look at the definition of medicine, it's called medical practice. And we are practitioners. So the practical aspect has to be looked at. So to suggest we are compromising on our standard is incorrect, because we have now linked theory to practice with this current setup. Council is with its own mandate to look at how we examine individual, and from time to time we can make that adjustment. And this is what was made here. Because if you look at the individual that passed this examination, a number of them are still struggling to make out, to come out of internship on time. A lot of them have to repeat different domains, and some of them have to even exceed the 2-year internship program. So this new setup does accommodate a lot of other things. It exposes individuals who were previously not exposed to practical training, to training, more importantly training at home, so that they understand the Namibian environment. They also come across things that they may not have come across during their training. So it's a much more, should be seen as a bonus rather than dropping standard. And we are looking forward to see how they perform compared to their peers. We believe they will be in a better position to perform better, rather than the suggestion that they are somewhat inferior. They went through an inferior training or evaluation than their counterpart. We think this is much more robust and should give us a better understanding as what we need to do further. We tend to evaluate the setup or the evaluation as it is in order to better it, and also to make sure that the individual that come out, they cruise through their internship training, and rather than struggling as many have done so far.
The council further adds that over 100 graduates successfully completed the practical training in 2021, and 70 are currently busy with the same program, adding that the majority of the 3,512 medical practitioners and specialists currently registered in Namibia were trained outside the country.
If you look at the numbers now of practitioners in the country, we're looking at about just 3,512 around that ballpark. So, and if you put it as a ratio per patient, specifically in the public sector, it's 1 out of 640. So we are way from being saturated. But that being the case, just remember that the intern training is a responsibility of not only council, but the hospital and the Ministry of Health. So you need to have a financial backing. We also need to have facilities for training, which are the hospitals. So we did struggle a little bit with that aspect because finding enough space for all of them to train. But again, we come over just on the background of COVID, which has taken up quite a number of resources. We should see a little bit more increase this year in terms of numbers, and that should take away the backlog. Obviously, we had a lot more waiting, but we hope that by the end of this year, at least a large number has been accommodated, and then those that are left should be accommodated with the next intake. We are by no means anywhere close to being saturated as a country. If you go outside Windhoek, you get that impression if you live in Windhoek. Outside Windhoek, there are just many areas which don't have a single doctor. And obviously Namibia is not Windhoek, so we need to look at the country as a whole and accommodate as many as we can. And I believe we can accommodate almost everyone available today.
The practice of medicine in Namibia is governed by the Medical and Dental Act 10 of 2004, which also established the Medical and Dental Council of Namibia.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
The mayor of Windhoek, Sadai Governors, visited Walvis Bay last week to sign a tripartite agreement with the mayors of Walvis Bay and Swakopmund. The agreement is aimed at strengthening and promoting friendly relationships between the three local authorities and their residents.
The mayors pledged to commit their council to the agreement and for their management to assist in its successful implementation through capacity building, resource sharing and knowledge exchange. Walvis Bay Mayor Trevino Forbes said that the municipality is obligated to ensure that the agreement becomes a working document.
It is our national obligation and duty to ensure that this agreement becomes a working document that will not only strengthen the Windhoek-Walvis Bay-Swakopmund relationship by means of cooperation in the main areas as listed by the program director, but also propel smaller municipalities, town councils and village councils to greater heights through meaningful cooperation with them.
Governor stated that partnerships such as this are key towards addressing challenges facing local government.
From the City of Windhoek's perspective, maintaining our local contacts and assisting our local authorities enhances the necessary local government capacity to tackle local development challenges in the context of our national decentralization process. This calls for an increased investment in our institutional capacity building and people as a crucial precondition for the desired social and local economic transformation. Therefore, Your Worships, I believe that our partnerships between all spheres of government, the public and the corporate sector, are the key response to our local governance challenges. This does not only mean free capital of mobility, efficient information and experience sharing, and eventual improved local governance. It is also the means of sharing common challenges and opportunities, and indeed promote inter-municipal cooperations. This is because the solutions to our common challenges can only be found in ourselves as part one municipalities and leading local authorities within Namibia.
The mayor of Swakopmund, Louis Kativa, added that there is a need for cooperation as well as knowledge, skills and expertise exchange between the councils.
Honorable councillors, Your Worships, ladies and gentlemen, we have released that there's a need to cooperate and cross-subsidize knowledge, skills, and expertise in order to improve and learn from one another. The municipality of Swakopmund is currently assisting other local authorities in various areas such as the procurement process, revenue and debt collection, women resources, waste management, and town planning and tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, therefore, I'm deeply grateful for this occasion where our three parts, one municipality, are cementing relationship.
Governors also paid a visit to the Okakarara, Ocho Warongo, Ocho and Omarulu municipalities last week.
The newly inaugurated desalination plant in Bulletin will enhance the country's ability to adapt to climate change and address the negative health impacts of consuming poor quality groundwater. The $37 million Namibia project is an initiative between the Namibia Water Corporation and the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform.
Chief Executive Officer of NAM Water, Abraham Nehemiah, said during the inauguration that the project will ensure that the local community gets sufficient water supply for sustainable livelihoods and commercial activities. Nehemiah added that hybrid energy technology is used to treat poor quality groundwater as it deteriorates due to climate change and variability.
The construction of the Bulletin desalination plant commenced in October 2020 and was completed in October 2021 at a cost of $37 million Namibian dollars. The plant is designed to produce 487 cubic meters per day as product water to meet the entire Bulletin village water demand until the year 2037. The desalination plant is powered by a standalone hybrid renewable energy. The Bulletin desalination plant aims to enhance Namibia's ability to adapt to the effect of climate change from a technological perspective and to address the negative social and health implications associated with the consumption of poor quality groundwater among many rural communities. Once successfully implemented, the concept will be replicated to other areas of Namibia, which are found to face similar groundwater quality challenges and which are not connected to the national electricity grid.
The Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Anna Shiweda, stated that the government is targeting to supply 100% of the country with access to pure water and that this desalination plant is one of such sources.
This term, water is life, is just so true that nothing can happen without water. We can sit here without electricity, but tell me how many people can stay without water. That is very, very crucial. Oftentimes, the stern efforts, the skills and the resources needed to bring water to us go unnoticed. We take it for granted. Water is flowing and we think it's as easy as anything. What lies behind that tap is an amazing and complicated process that requires detailed planning, commitment, and dedication to ensure that the goals of the government are carried out through the water service provision so that every citizen has access to clean water. Continue to invest in water infrastructure countrywide to ensure that even if water is scarce, is a scarce commodity in this dry country of ours, Namibia will continue to have a reliable water supply system that delivers potable water to our people and industry.
Shiweda congratulated NAM Water on a job well done by bringing this facility to the people and encouraged that more of these water desalination plants be set up in the rural communities to make the service to our people as smooth as possible.
In other leading stories, as the residents of the city struggle with the already high energy price, which is driving inflation, the city of Windhoek announced that it will increase municipal bus fares effective 1st August 2021. Cash fare will increase to $8.50 per trip, and smart card fare will increase from $7.50 to $8.50. This means that both cash and card fare have increased by $1. According to the city, this is in line with the government gazette and the city of Windhoek tariffs for the 2022-2023 financial year. Passengers are urged to obtain receipts from the bus driver every time they enter a municipal bus in exchange for their payments. Any passenger who will be found without a receipt will be regarded as an illegal passenger and will be asked to pay or leave the bus by the bus inspectors or city police officers. If a bus driver refuses to provide a passenger with a receipt, such passenger must inform the bus inspectors or city police officers at the nearest checkpoint.
Joseph Shufeni is standing by for this evening's edition of Business on One.
Welcome to this evening's edition of Business on One. Namibia Transport and Allied Workers Union Natal General Secretary Narina Pullman has accused the Transnamib management and board of disregarding the employees' concerns, which sparked a planned nationwide strike that was scheduled to start today. However, on Saturday, Transnamib filed an urgent application in the Labour Court and the industrial action was put on hold.
According to Narina Pullman, Natal's General Secretary, deliberations after last month's negotiations between the union and the railway company's board were fruitful. But a recent letter from the board angered the bargaining body and its representatives, which led to the decision of an industrial action.
The response of the board was really an insult to us workers. Natal has exhausted all relevant avenues from management to EXCO, the board, the line ministry, labour ministry, including the public enterprises, but to no avail. Now the big question remains, where do workers go? Where do they go if they are given a cold shoulder by structures that are put in place to support them in this regard? If the entire ADR, alternative dispute mechanism, fail them, where do they go? In our final attempt as a union and a responsible representative, we submitted a petition to the board with a list of demands. The parties met on 17 June 2022, and after fruitful deliberations, the board promised to look into the demands of the workers. The response letter from the board chairperson, Mr. Lionel Matthews, signed off by his deputy chairperson, Ms. Shirokiza, was a total insult and disregard of the employees of Transnamib. The content of the response and its tone speaks to how low they think of their own employees and the union representing these employees. We really tried. In our previous media briefings, we said if we were really an irresponsible union, we could have taken these workers through, even if it is a illegal strike. But we didn't want to. We tried by all means to exhaust all the avenues and to be given a final blow by the last structured body in Transnamib with a disregard. It was the last straw. Good and harmonious working environment is one where all workers are treated with dignity and respect, and where no worker is subjected to harassment, victimization, or constant threats. After receiving the notice to commence with the strike, the workers were even threatened through memos. We are having the copies thereof. Yet the board and management praise themselves in the media that they are open to peaceful dialogue. It must be clear that as a union, we are still open to dialogue. But when we serve them with the notice, first they run to the media without even trying to consult us or try to find an amicable solution. They just run through to the media.
Transnamib approached the Labour Court on Saturday, citing that the planned industrial action does not comply with the strike rules as issued by the Office of the Labour Commissioner. Transnamib added the action by Natal further amounts to several material breaches of the collective agreement between the parties. The General Secretary confirmed that they've informed the Transnamib employees to return back to work as the strike that was planned to start today was postponed due to an urgent court application.
We hereby confirm that we were served with an urgent application late Friday afternoon. It was on the 15th of July by Kublinger Boltman Law Firm. During the court proceedings that took place on 16th July, around 14 hours, the management undertook to have the strike deferred that was scheduled for today, Monday, 18 July 2022 onwards. However, a court order was issued in abeyance pending the finalization of the urgent application. We were also part of the proceedings, whereby we asked for the hearing to be postponed until today, 1400 hours, for our legal team to be available. But then the court ruled that the entire hearing then to be postponed until the 29th of July for the parties to have ample time to prepare. As per the court order, we instruct our members, or we inform them to go back to work and wait for the outcome, because we will be held in contempt if we do not follow the court order.
Natal called upon the head of state to rescue the workers of Transnamib.
The clock has struck for your daily business and financial news update. Brought to you by The Brief.
The Bank of Namibia is planning to establish a branch in the southern part of the country to support stakeholders with applied research following the introduction of the Green Hydrogen Initiative, Neckartal Dam Irrigation Project and oil discoveries. Kadembire Dembruka, the bank's Director of Strategic Communications and International Relations, said the commercial viability of these projects might expedite the establishment of a new bank branch. He added that the viability of the establishment will also ensure the accessibility of currency distribution for the people in the south. Further stating that he found viable the establishment of a branch for currency distribution will ensure that the bank is accessible and relevant to the people of the south, which is the drive behind the bank's consideration. However, He emphasized that these are still early days and no commitments have been made yet. MTN, Africa's largest mobile operator, is in talks with Telkom to take over the company. Both companies issued shareholder notices on Friday saying that MTN was in discussions with Telkom, South Africa's third largest mobile operator, to acquire the entire share capital of the company in return for shares or a combination of cash and shares in MTN. Both telecom companies said discussions are at an early stage and there is no certainty that the transaction will be consummated. Telkom's share price skyrocketed 28% following the announcement, while MTN climbed nearly 3%. Government holds at least 40% of Telkom and the Public Investment Corporation PIC around 13%. Telkom announced earlier on Friday that Mteto Nyati, MTN's former CEO and the former group CEO of Altron, joined its board as an independent non-executive director. Namibia has announced the removal of all COVID-19 restrictions imposed as part of its national response measures, President Kenkop announced on Friday. In light of the progress made against COVID-19 in the past few months, he informed the public that Namibia is now at a stage where it can significantly lower the scale of investment in the fight against COVID-19. The president also announced that previous measures such as daily updates and updates provided by the Ministry of Health will also be discontinued.
This was your daily Namibian business and financial news update. For in-depth stories, read more on thebrief.com.na now.
And that is all we have for you. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages for more on the business front.
Namibian Defence Force Major General Petrus Natinge said they expect all prospective applicants who meet the requirements to join the army to be vaccinated for COVID-19. Natinge's remarks follows a public outcry against mandatory vaccination. MIA says the Defence Force should subject those that have been selected to be vaccinated. Merkai said no one will be forced to be vaccinated. It simply means you will not be considered. Ellie says a person can still be infected by COVID-19 and HIV after the test. Joshua asked if the general has himself taken the jab. Peter says that it is normal in the military because they cannot afford to have sick personnel. While Frau says everyone should be subjected to the same test. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast only on Today on One. Castro Ulumbu is standing by for Sport on One.
Good evening and welcome to Sports on One. I'm your host Castro Ulumbu. The Brave Warriors, who are looking forward to secure their second COSAFA Cup trophy, lost out to neighbors Zambia in last night's 2022 Hollywood Bets Council of Southern Africa Football Association's competition. Namibia lost 1-0 after a stunning 35-yard shot by Zambian winger Albert Kangwanda in extra time when both teams drew 0-0 in the first 90 minutes during the match that took place at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in South Africa. In a very exciting final of the 2022 Hollywood Bets Council of Southern Africa Football Association's COSAFA Regional Showpiece saw the Brave Warriors of Namibia face neighbors Zambia. The Zambians, who were looking to secure their sixth regional title, found a very stubborn, youthful Namibian side who came into the finals having not conceded a goal in the quarterfinals and semifinals following victories against Madagascar and Mozambique respectively. The match started off well, with both teams not giving much away defensively, leaving the battle in the middle of the park. Zambia had the first shot when player of the tournament Kelvin Kampamba tried from range, but the ball was well wide of the goalpost. Marcel Papama had a few clever attacking runs, but could not find forward Betuel Mudeu to score as the match ended 0-0 in the first 45 minutes. A well-organized Namibian team continued its defensive form in the second half, with Kennedy Amutenya and Denzel Hauseb keeping their shape to stop the Zambians from scoring in the first 90 minutes of the final. In extra time, the Warriors midfielder Emmanuel Heita missed a clear chance in the box when he blasted the ball over the bar before winger Albert Kangwanda's 35-yard shot won the game for the Zambians to be crowned regional champions for the sixth successive time.
Has been largely unremarkable. Kangwanda comes up with a truly special moment worthy of winning any final.
In the dying minutes, Namibia pushed for an equalizer, but Absalom Mbodi could not capitalize from a scramble in the box as his shot was well saved by Zambia's #1 keeper. The Brave Warriors head coach Colin Benjamin applauded his team for their efforts in the tournament, saying that the team has impressed and can't wait to work more with the squad. The team defense, which did not concede in their first two games of the tournament, also received high praise from the coach.
Yeah, I think I have to compliment my players. I'm so proud of these players. I'm having an appetite for more. Want to work with them. We're growing something. There is something here. Their fighting spirit. They fought. Our captain, he couldn't anymore, but he was fighting. That's a brave warrior, and I'm proud of each and every one of them. They did good. Yeah, I think obviously they're good at that, and they also saw that they can capitalize on that. But at moments, I think we did good. We created a few chances. Even in the last dying minutes of the game, we had a chance. Yes, that killer instinct, what we want to come with time and with experience. But I'm actually just really proud of my players. They gave their all, and it's really giving me appetite for more. I think a huge compliment for the defense. We conceded our only goal in the final. It was there was a deflection in that. So it took a deflection to break us down. And in that regard, I think the work that those guys put in, the tenacity, them wanting to defend, because it just gives stability also to the team, knowing that, yeah, we've got a solid defense and we can build on that. And like I said, still, I'm having appetite, huge appetite for these players and the project that's awaiting us.
The champions Zambia walked away with 500,000 rand. Runner-up Namibia 250,000 rand. Senegal walked away with 150,000 rand for winning the bronze medal, whilst Mozambique won 100,000 rand for ending fourth place. Namibia's goalkeeper Edward Maova won the Goalkeeper of the Tournament award. Thank you for watching. Catch us again tomorrow for more updates on Sports on One.
Thanks a lot, Castro. Time now for the weather forecast.
Here's tomorrow's weather forecast. The interior will be partly cloudy and mild in the southwest, elsewhere sunny and mild to warm. The coast will be partly cloudy and mild to warm with fog patches in the morning. Wind will be moderate northwesterly to southwesterly. This is what travelers can expect at places in and around the country.
Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. From me, Maggie Forciero, and the rest of the team, till next time, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
India's Ranthambore Reserve in Rajasthan is home to the rare Bengal tigers. Every year, John Isaac, an Indian-born photographer, travels from New York City to document the lives of these majestic animals.
In the last 10 years, I think my interest has grown tenfold, and I'm very particular about the survival of the tigers.
His goal is to make sure that people everywhere know about the grave danger Bengal tigers face: extinction. John holds seminars and photographic exhibitions from his visits to Ranthambore to raise awareness of the plight of these tigers. He's currently working on a book to document their dilemma due to an increasing human population encroaching on their territory. According to John and wildlife experts, each tiger needs as much as 9 square kilometers to survive, just under 4 square miles. The relationship between tigers and people has always been difficult, but now, with much less territory to roam, tigers often wander into human settlements.
The conflict between the villagers and the tigers has always been there. And then government tries to compensate. If a tiger kills a goat or a cow, they pay a certain amount to the villagers.
In the past, tigers used migration corridors or routes followed by wildlife for travel between summer and winter habitats. Now these pathways have been taken over by people who use them as living quarters and to reap firewood.
We are trying to work with the communities living around and trying to reduce their forest dependency so that we can conserve this corridor patch for the smooth and easy movement of tigers.
Jamuna Devi, a farmer, lives near one of the migratory corridors She used to depend on the forest for grazing pastures. Now, thanks to a World Wildlife Fund initiative, Jamuna no longer needs to rely on the forest for her family's survival. The secret? Introducing new alternative crops closer to her home.
गई साल बोया हमने खुद ने और ये तो अभी यही गई साल बोया है ये आया होया कांदा है हम 25 रोज को तो तारीख को तो बोया ही है और रोज में अंतर तो आगा भूलने लगा.
The success of this project has led to even more changes. Jamuna decided to plant fodder for her cattle on her excess land to further preserve the habitat of the tigers. She has also switched to cooking gas so that she doesn't have to collect forest wood for fuel.
जंगल में सब दुनिया ने जब छोड़ दिया तो सब बे होगी कोई काम नहीं करा लकड़ी को भी नहीं करा जंगल में जाने से भी परेशान है दुनिया गैस भेज दिया सबन के घर घर में वो सभी सिलेंडर पकड़ते हैं और रुपया को कोई समझते ही नहीं है अब भीतर भरा लावा.
Climate change also has a direct impact on the habitat of tigers.
The last 2 or 3 years, they say, there's been a drought. The rains have not been regular.
Climate change is a serious problem in this country, even it's in the continent. So keeping these forest areas alive and protected is the only solution. This year we have raised a nursery of 10,000 saplings. Forest department have shown their interest. They bought around 2,000-3,000 saplings.
The idea is to plant new trees to replace those lost to severe weather conditions and human activity. Poaching used to be a major threat to Bengal tigers. But thankfully, the number of big cats killed by poachers has plummeted due to measures implemented by law enforcement agencies, resulting in less demand for tiger products. Especially the introduction of camera traps and digital apps, which automatically take photos of moving tigers and suspicious persons moving around in the forest.
Every time I hear something like that, I feel so good, in some ways, some things are working. And so this is what drives me to come and do this. In my lifetime, if the tigers are extinct, I don't know how I'll handle that.
This report was produced by Mary Ferreira for the United Nations.
Honestly, I've never been so anxious to flip a card.
In your whole life?
My whole entire life. I think it's because I'm probably used to I must know.
You used to having the information in
advance. I'm like, I know what I'm gonna ask her more. Now I'm on the other side and I'm just like, can we just and I can't flip the card up until it's my turn, right? Yeah. Let's have a conversation.
I think for me, art is important.
Ooh.
Art is everything. But I think first of all, it's important.
I think again, it's about being a nice person, isn't it? Just because somebody's being nasty to you on the road, or you don't necessarily have to be the same as them.
Always were told you needed to have X, Y, and Z. Like at school already, they're telling you what do you want to be. You're like, I don't even know what I'm now. I'm going to know what I'm then.
I like football.
Relax. Let me just get through today.
This is a nice question.
Okay.
Let us
Is it about?
No, I wish it was. I wish it was about but it's not.
Currently we are in the Dorop National Park. This was only established in December 2010 to protect certain areas around the town of Swakop and Walvis Bay. Today what we have here is our horses' graveyard, and the beginning of this story starts in the year 1914. The South African military issued 30,000 animals, horses and mules, to help with the handover process from the then German Southwest Africa to British Southwest Africa. So these horses were sent up with soldiers just to make sure the handover process went smoothly. So a lot of the horses were sent overland from Pretoria in South Africa all the way up here to Swakopmund. Some were sent by ship from Cape Town up here as well. And then further, they were sent overland from here all the way to Korup, which is near Etosha National Park. They had an extreme drought in that year, and they could not actually feed all those animals in that area near Etosha. There was just not enough food available in the bush. So what they actually had to do was send a lot of the horses back to the coastline here. It was actually easier to bring fodder, food, by ship from Cape Town to Swakopmund to feed the animals here than to find available food anywhere in the bush. The animals that were sent back to the coast here actually were kept at a horse station a couple of kilometers from Swakopmund town. In that area, the horses contracted a disease which comes across in horses or horse family. The disease is known as horse influenza, and it is also dangerous for human beings, they realized later. They sent a message back to Pretoria, to the magistrate, to please send their vet, the state vet, to assist with the situation here in Swakop. Halfway through their ship journey, they actually hit a sandbank in the south of Namibia, and they managed to wreck their ship. That gentleman and his crew were only brought up by another ship from Cape Town a few days later, and by the time they arrived back to Swakop, the public had already decided to take matters into their own hands to protect the colony. They were not sure if the people would arrive. So what they did is they brought all those sick animals into the desert here, and one by one they proceeded to each give a horse and mule a headshot, and they buried them out here in mass graves. You can actually see on the skull here the bullet where it penetrated. So if you look at any of the skulls in this area, you will notice that each took a headshot. But very interesting as well is you can see the lichen that has formed on the skull. You can see they've been here quite long. They do get buried by sand periodically. It gets opened up with the predominant southwesterly winds. And that is the only reason that you can still see all these bones intact, is because they were preserved under the sand. If they were exposed to the elements throughout the time, it would have actually broken down. This gravesite specifically here goes about 200 meters in a long line. It's about 1.5 to 2 meters deep, 1.5 to 2 meters wide. And this is only one of 3 sites that we have in this general area. And between those 3 sites now we have 1,695 horses and 944 mules, which were exterminated over the process of about 3 weeks in 1915. So that's just over 100 years ago that this history took place here.
And responsible farming practices must be part of the answer to the challenge of sustainability. But is science moving quickly enough to fulfill the needs of humanity?
The main reason why it's at this height is for the harvester comfort. So right now in California, we have a labor shortage. There is not as many people who want to do the work of harvesting strawberries. It's really hard.
I think one of the differences between being an indoor farmer and an outdoor farmer, in a greenhouse in particular, we try and take advantage of the best of both worlds.
I would say, either someone has got a family characteristic that they just say, you know what? It's a female that says, I don't want my dad's nose.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, and yeah, it's pretty obvious, and we'll get you back there and get it all fixed for you, okay?
Hi beautiful souls, this is Nikita Winkler and I am here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. This is a demonstration, so what's most important is that you take the time that your body needs in each position to release its tension. Let's get started. In this session, we will be massaging the feet using a tennis ball or anything alike. You can do this sitting or standing. So first I'm going to place the ball in the center of the foot, and I'm going to press into the ball to feel the foot open up. And then I'm going to start rolling the ball vertically from the inside of the foot to the center and to the outside. And I'm giving enough pressure to feel tension release. Next, I'm going to take the ball to the front of the foot, press into it, feel the ball of the foot open up, and then I'm just going to do horizontal motion, side to side. Last, I'm going to place my toes on the ground and the ball close to the heel of the foot, underneath the heel of the foot. And again, same, horizontally, side to side. And that's about it. If you feel a lot of tension, then just stop there, press into it, and hold it until the tension releases. The benefits of this foot massage is that the body is covered in connective tissue, which starts in the feet. So by releasing tension in your feet, you're actually releasing tension in the rest of the body. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to breathe into your feet and happy stretching.
We know the world is a crazy place right now, but don't panic. Take a breath, slow down, or better yet, stop completely. We'll still be here when everything settles down. In this time of uncertainty, look to nature. She has all the answers, you know.